urbanization, development, a thriving economy, but at what cost to our future? Public projects, the backbone of our growth. Shouldn't they also be the driving force behind our environmental protection? Be part of the conversation. Watch as Malaysia's brightest minds decide go green or keep growing.
Good morning, everyone. We're about to start now, so I hope you can settle down, yeah? Welcome, everyone. I'm Diana, and I'll be your MC for today. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Youth Parliamentary Debathon 2024, organized by Kini Events and Malaysia Kini, in collaboration with Malaysian Timber Certification Council, MTCC. This event is also co-organized by the MPP of University Science Malaysia. Please give them a round of applause. With the great support from our partners, our venue partner, University Science Malaysia, our soft skills training partner, the Malaysian Institute for Debate and Public Speaking, MIDP, our co-partners, the Institute for Research and Development of Policy, IRDP, UNITEN and the UNITEN Debate and Oratory Society, University Tunusenon Malaysia, UTHM, University Technology Malaysia, GRAS Malaysia, and Clot Circularity. Let's give them a round of applause. We would like to emphasize here today that the discussion today is solely for knowledge purposes and to encourage the youths to voice out their respective opinions. Do take note that all opinions and statements and suggestions from the debaters today do not represent the stand of the organizers or any institutions. For your information, today's debaters are a total of 31 people aged between 14 and 25 years old. Before the event begins, I would like to make a few announcements. This event will be conducted in English. Each debater will be given 3 minutes to present his and her problem statements and suggestions. Each debater will also be given only 1 minute to rebut and 1 minute to answer the rebuttal. A digital timer will be displayed on screen during the presentation. Any personal remarks or negative remarks towards the debaters or any person and institutions are strictly prohibited. Please ensure that your mobile phones are silenced throughout the whole event today. The audience today can also vote for statements and popular debaters on our website at mk.my/undidebate4. This event will also be live streamed on Malaysia Kini, Kini TV, and our co-partners Facebook, X, and YouTube platforms. Now, we would like to introduce our panel judges to select the best debater who will be awarded at the end of this debate. And they are Mr. Muhammad Hasif Azizan, the Director of Communications from Malaysian Timber Certification Council, and Ms. Iman Rizwan, the event producer from Kini Events. Before we start, I would like to now invite Mr. Ng Ling Fong, the Managing Editor of Malaysia Kini, to give an opening remarks.
Testing. Okay, next. Good morning. Good morning to Dr. Farah Shamin, CEO of Malaysian Timber Certificate Council, Mr. Muhammad Hasif, Director of Communications from the MTCC, in the event teams, MPP of USM, Malaysian Institute of Debate and Public Speaking, and all debaters and students here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining this Youth Parliamentary Debathon 2024 here at USM. This moment is particularly meaningful for me as I step onto this campus again after 21 years since my graduation from USM. I graduated from USM. It was during my time as an active member of the Chinese Language Society, Persatuan Bahasa Tionghoa here at USM, as that I was first exposed to the world of debate. Those early experiences shaped my understanding of self-education and taught me the importance of caring for life, the society, and the world around us. Debate, to me, was much more than a competition. It was a platform where I met some of my best friends, learned to engage with different perspectives, and cultivate a deep sense of curiosity about the issues that shape our world. As students, it is essential to not just focus on academic success, but to also stay connected with what's happening beyond classroom. Current issues, whether they are social, political, environment, or economic, impact all of us. And it's our responsibility to engage with them. Debate is one of the best tools to develop the understanding. It pushes you to analyze topics critically, research deeply, and articulate your views with clarity. Participating in debates teaches you far more than just public speaking. It enhances your ability to collect and access data, strengthens your analytical minds, and foster teamwork, skills that are invaluable no matter what career path you choose. As you participate in today's debathon, I encourage each of you to make the most of this opportunity. Embrace the experience fully, learn from your fellow participants, and challenge yourself to think deeper. Debate is not just about winning. It's about learning how to engage with the world. Think critical and express yourself with purpose. I wish all of you the best in today's debates, and I'm confident that this experience will contribute greatly to your growth, just as it did for me all those years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ling Fong. Next, I would like to respectfully invite Dr. Farah Shamin Muhammad Ashray, the CEO of Malaysian Timber Certification Council, to give the launching speech. Welcome, Dr. Farah.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all. Mr. Ng Ning Fung, Managing Director of Malaysia Kini. I think the MPP of USM, where are you? Where are the MPPs? 3 of you. Okay. How many in the MPP? 25. Okay. And I think to Kini Events and the Secretariat for today. I'm happy that we are able to collaborate with Kini Events, Malaysia Kini, I think this is the second year or the second time Malaysian Timber Certification Council is collaborating with Kini Events to be part of this program. So I wonder if, may I know a show of hands of what kind, are you part of the biological conservation faculty? Anybody? Material science faculty, maybe? Anybody? No? Biology, biological conservation, biological science. Tu, yang kat tangan tu. You are representing which faculty? Science faculty, I see. So the combination, maybe economics, maybe trade, economics. Okay, so good combination. All right. So I have a speech here, but I think looking at your young faces, I do not want to bore you with what I have here, but I just want to tell you that. Okay, so I just want to tell you that the topic that you are going to have your debate on today is very crucial because this paper is made from fiber from wood. Okay, I imagine the chairs that you are sitting, the foldable chairs that you are sitting on, there is a combination of a wood fiber in the chair that you are sitting on. All right, the bags that you are carrying also has, or maybe it's part of a wood product. Okay, so the chairs that we are sitting, the table, this rostrum, almost every part of our life actually is impacted by timber or wood product. Okay, whether it is the clothes that we wear sometimes, even specs, our specs sometimes would have wood fiber, right? People with material science, they would know that. So the fundamental of our consumer behavior, okay, is the thing that is driving public projects, or the thing that is driving how we spend. So when I say how we spend, it is not just us individuals, what I choose to buy, whether it comes from a sustainable source or not. The bigger purchaser or the bigger people who are spending money in the world is actually the governments, right? Same as USM. USM is also a public university. So the question is USM buying sustainable products to build universities or to build the university? You know, is USM buying sustainable timber, rostrums made from sustainable timber, for example, right? So this is the fundamental that you are going to debate today, and why that is important. Okay, fundamentally, it comes down to us decision makers. Us means us as individual, you as students, as young students here. For example, for newspapers, for example, are they printing on sustainable paper, which comes from sustainable timber or timber sources coming from sustainable forests? Okay, so I see a lot of faces here. You have read so much about certification. I can see you're all bursting with a lot of information in your faces, right? So remember that it's very important that we always make the right decision, right? Every day we spend our money. It is also similar when you all graduate, no matter where you are working in a public institution or whether you are working in a government institution or whether you are NGOs or you are working in non-profits, whether you are making the correct decisions. Because every decision that we make boils down to dollar and cent, and fundamentally it boils down to the livelihood of people, and it boils down to the environment. Okay, so let's stop there. I think you all know that Malaysia exports our timber and sustainable timber, and why the certification is important. So let's, I think, enjoy the debate. I hope all of you will benefit. I think the non-debaters as well as the debaters will benefit from the debate. And I really think that what Mr. Ng mentioned just now, express yourself with purpose. I like to take that back today. That's very, very important. We must know our purpose. So like I mentioned just now, consumer behavior, we are the consumers, we are the decision makers. We must remember that we should do the right thing all the time. Okay? So that's all. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farah, for your inspiring and informative speech. With this, the Youth Parliamentary Debathon 2024 will begin now. A total of 16 debaters who will be presenting their statements. Representing the government, and they are Gautam Manimaran, Sarah Tan, Manuel Julian, Daniel Iskandar, Sarah Tay Kai Sin, Shamira Nasrin, Afiq Danish, Surya Anisa, Halim Shah, Muhammad Firdaus, Josh Lee, Maisara Umira, Noor Kistina, Aina Fadzlin, and Siti Salina. Meanwhile, a total of 15 debaters will be representing the opposition, and they are Afiq Arshad, Abdullah Saud, Shazia Kadra, Tiffany Chong, Dinesh Anak Lelaki Ravindran, Ong Zan Hao, Faiz Hilmi, Ain Natasha, Lee Zi Jiong, Tan Yan Bin, Sharmira, Amar Akmal, Muhammad Imam, Amirul Adib, and Lee Yu Hong. I would like to kindly remind the debaters to please follow the rules and etiquettes during the debate that were taught during the previous briefing session. Next, I'd like to invite the moderator for this debate, Mr. Arif Firdaus bin Azmi, the chairman of the Penang Youth Committee, to chair this debate. Sir, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Diana. I am Arif Firdaus bin Azmi, and I will chair the debate today, which touches on a topic of timber policy. Before starting this debate event, I would to give a little explanation about today's debate. The motion for today's topic is, this House believes that Malaysian government should adopt a mandatory sustainable timber procurement policy for all public projects. As environmental concerns continue, the demand for sustainable practices in management becomes increasingly critical. A mandatory sustainable timber procurement sourced from or with policy sustainable lead challenges for project implementation. I will invite the debater from the government.
Thank you, moderator. Am I audible? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and fellow debaters, today I stand before you to support the motion. This House believes that Malaysian government should adopt a mandatory sustainable timber procurement policy for all public projects. This initiative is not merely an environmental concern, it is a crucial step towards enhancing social welfare, economic stability, and community empowerment in Malaysia. So, the definition of what is a timber procurement policy. It is a set of guidelines whereby it mandates the sourcing of timber and wood-derived products from legal and sustainable sources for government projects. This policy ensures that all timber purchased is harvested in compliance with environmental regulations, promoting responsible forestry practices that combat climate change and preserves biodiversity. So, our problem statement here is that currently the timber industry in Malaysia faces significant challenges. Unsustainable timber sourcing practices have led to environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, and adverse effects on local communities. These practices, however, exploit natural resources without considering the long-term impacts on the communities that depend on them. So our status quo would be, at present, while there are some efforts towards sustainable forestry in Malaysia, such as the Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme, mandatory regulations for public projects remain lacking. Many timber companies operate without stringent guidelines, leading to practices that can harm both the environment and local population, although awareness of sustainability is growing amongst engagement. However, we as government have some propositions. So the first and foremost proposition is incorporating indigenous people into sustainable timber procurement policies is essential for fostering environmental stewardship in Malaysia. The Orang Asli, the indigenous, essential for indigenous people of Peninsular Malaysia possess intricate knowledge of their forests developed over generations, which is crucial for sustainable resource management as it encompasses practices that respects biodiversity and promotes conservation. Now, other than that is individual awareness and public demand for supply chain information. In Malaysia, individual awareness and public demand for supply chain transparency are increasingly important, particularly with the introduction of the Geographical Indications GI Act 2022. So these are the propositions that are given by the government, and we hope that we can fight for this, and we stand by our motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gotham. Now I open the floor to the opposition team to rebut this proposal. You need to raise your hand and show your name. You will have 1 minute to rebut. I see Tinesh, so you have 1 minute to present your rebuttal. Please welcome.
Yes. Dear government, it was a good speech, but okay, let me ask you something. For an example, the KL-Singapore rail project that was as a cost estimation of 110 billion was rejected because they feel it may burden our economy. Even 140 billion for Bandar Malaysia is still in process. Do you think for sustainable timber policy, are we able to conduct that much of cost, because it requires at least 300 billion. Even a 110 billion project is rejected. And how do you think it could sustain our economy? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now I open to the government. May I see your hand? Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
All right, let's address that question head on. Yes, it's going to cost a lot. Yes, it's going to be expensive. Yes, nothing is free. But, and like you said, the KL Singapore Railway project was bailed, the KL Bandaraya project is still ongoing and it's expensive. But the reason why we bail on certain projects is just because it is merely not necessary at the exact current moment. Do you really need a KL to Singapore Railway right now? No, but do you need a timber procurement policy? Do you need to make sure that Malaysia is sustainable? Do you need to make sure that we are going green? Yes. So if you're talking about merely just cost, we are putting money where it actually matters for once. And that this will be supported by investors outside of Malaysia because we as Malaysians are taking a step forward to making the country more sustainable and more economically sustainable as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I open the floor to the opposition team to rebut. May I have Abdullah Saud, 1 minute?
Good morning to my honorable opponents. I do want to ask a single question. For an average rainforest tree to grow, it takes around 60 years, which is a pretty sizable amount. I haven't even lived a quarter of that yet. Actually, I have lived a quarter. Regardless of saying, it takes around 60 years. Even with sustainable timber procurement, how exactly are you going to ensure that by the time all the trees that you have cut down would actually have regenerated? Do you seriously believe that only a single tree is going to be cut every 60 years to ensure that all the trees would have grown back? Would there not be a clear clash with profitability that all these timber companies would have? And would there not be a clear clash with sustainability as well, since you are allowing them to still cut trees and not having any proper efforts to regrow them back?
Thank you, Abdullah. One from the government floor. Can I see one hand with one name? Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
All right. Yes, we are still cutting trees, but we said it's sustainable growth. Take, for example, the procurement, the policy that we are trying to put in place is that we control how much logging happens. So if we were to, let's say, only allow 10% of cutting per year or every 5 years, means that we are controlling how much is lost. Therefore, we are able to take into the calculations how much can be grown back within the time that that 100% is completely utilized. We're not going to be cutting down everything one shot. The point of sustainability is to ensure continuability, is to ensure that we can carry out this process on a continuous and a long-term basis, not something that we can take one giant saw, cross it across the entirety of the Pan Borneo, and then just call it a day. That's not how sustainability works. And for our side, we are proposing these kinds of policies where we control how much is lost so that we can control how much is grown back. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Third rebuttal from the opposition. Your name, please. Sinesh. Okay, 1 minute.
So, okay. In the 2021, the Sri Lankan government made a controversial decision by banning chemical and fertilizer pesticides to push for organic farming. Their reason was they want to go green. What happened? This policy caused a significant drop in tea and rice production, which are crucial for both local consumption and export. The shortage in agricultural products contributed to rising food and end up in inflation. The thing is that we understand that you guys want to go green, but why is it in timber policy? If in your case that if we go green, just in the sake of we want to allow sustainable mandatory timber policy just for the sake of go green, and it ends up give us inflation. What are you guys going to do? What is your risk and the cons? We have to measure both of it. Just not because you want to go green and go green in public projects. There are other projects that we can go green. Thank you.
Thank you. Final from the government, Manuel Jillian, 1 minute.
So, the situation of Sri Lankan agricultural industry and the Malaysian timber industry is very different. First of all, its infrastructural differences. Sri Lanka is still considered as a low-income developing country. Malaysia is a high middle income developing country. That's the first question of the funding. Second of all, Malaysia has the urgency to do so in our timber industry because there are a lot of stakeholders that need this policy. As we said earlier, it's the indigenous people. We need that policy to protect the indigenous people. Second of all, our stakeholders are also the industry itself because there are a lot of international protests that is that is pushing for sustainability that is needed in our timber industry in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, the time is up. Thank you, Gautam Manimaran, and all the debaters. We will proceed with our first debater from opposition, Muhammad Afiq Arshad, to present your statement for 3 minutes. Please welcome Afiq Arshad.
Testing. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We from the opposition side, we do believe that we want to go green. We do believe the benefits of this kind of certification. We want to sustainable for Malaysia and all the citizens and all the welfare for the citizen. So to the citizen. But in this debate, what we're going to evaluate is why the government want to make this kind of policy mandatory. Because currently, in current practice, we have the Environmental Quality Act 1974. That all the government projects, all need to undergo an environmental impact assessment to evaluate potential environmental impacts before they can be approved. First. Second, to undergo this project also, we need to appoint a qualified consultant to carry out this kind of assessment. So, our question from the opposition side is, what is your exclusivity of this kind of new policy in comparison to this current practice in our countries. So what are the additional outcome that will be promoted from your side at this debate? So why it should be mandatory? Because we have the current practice. Is there any problem with the current practice? Is the monitoring is not really well? Is the what are the additional values actually of exclusivity of this policy that we cannot get from the current policy that we're practicing right now? So this is the burden of proof that the government should be answered later. So from our side, we from the opposition side, we do believe that we still want to go green, but not by making this mandatory, ladies and gentlemen, because it will lead to some harm to our Malaysian country itself. First, I will talk about the ineffectiveness of adopting this mandatory policy for all public projects. The first level of analysis: what are the main routes or what are the main cause of illegal logging and also deforestation that currently happen in our country? Is that because of we don't have any certification? Is that because we don't have anything to be, we don't have any sustainable certificate? No, ladies and gentlemen. It is because of the other causes. So how this kind of policy that aim to another thing can solve this kind of problem can solve your current concern. And secondly, what we want to raise is when the company is not afford to get the certificate, to acquire the certificate and to maintain the certificate because it's really expensive, it will tend to go to the problem of greenwashing. They will tell to the people because currently they have the surge demand in certified in sustainable timber. So this company will talk and advertise that our timber is currently sustainable, our timber is green. So they will do the fraud. Will do the greenwashing in order to maintain their profit, in order to maintain the sustainability of the organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Afi Arshad. Now I open the floor to the government to rebuttal. May I see one hand with one name? Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
All right, let's address these problems again. Why this policy? Ladies and gentlemen, given granted that there are other policies that we can introduce, but considering the fact that we can approach this topic right now, we are using this timber procurement policy as a stepping stone to move Malaysia to better environmental laws. Let's answer your question. What is currently lacking with our current system? Current environmental laws are still not sufficient to combat illegal loggings, to combat poor timber policies, poor timber practices that we have in Malaysia. Two-thirds of reported cases are in fact illegal logging cases. And that's a lot. Two-thirds is a lot. Two-thirds of 90 cases is in fact illegal logging. That's 60 cases of illegal logging, and that's just what's reported. And you want us to appoint a person in charge? We mentioned it earlier. The indigenous people who know better than us, who know their surroundings better, they are the person in charge, and they have the knowledge to help us move this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now to the opposition bench. One name, one hand. Can I see your name, please? Imam. Okay, Mr. Imam, 1 minute.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the government side said that the existing policy is not effective at all. But how can they ensure the new policy that they want to do can ensure the effectiveness of the policy?
Can you still utilize your time? Do you want to? No. Okay, thank you. Just okay, can you please repeat back the question in the 20 minutes left, Mr. Imam?
Okay, my question is, the government side said that the existing policy is not effective. It's not effective. But how can they ensure the new policy that they want to do in this country will lead to the effectiveness of the policy?
Thank you, Mr. Imam. Now to the government. Okay, Mr. Gotham, 1 minute.
Thank you, moderator. So to answer your question, Mr. Imam, which is why we're making this policy mandatory. I want to emphasize the word on mandatory. Right now, currently, it is not. So we are trying to make a policy which is mandatory. So which means that every single person or every single corporate companies need to abide those policies. And if you did not follow, you'll be in trouble. And this is to regulate all of the illegal loggings or whatsoever. It has to go through any single process. It has to go through. It has to go through all of this in order we know and the public knows that, okay, our timber harvest, all of our timber sources are from a proper, certified harvesters. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from opposition, Abdullah Saud, 1 minute.
Okay, so we do agree that, of course, we want to go in a more sustainable direction. We want to go green. However, the problem that was propped up by my previous speaker was how effective is certification specifically going to be to curb these problems? Because at the moment, one of the biggest reasons why these things happen is because of illegal loggings. And the fact is, when you make certification mandatory, what do you actually encourage more people to do? You encourage more people to go to alternative illegal resources. A lot of these people that conduct these deforestation, I guess, or conduct timber are not necessarily from people that are from major corporations. Oftentimes, they might be private contractors. That might be simply a small group of like 5 or 6 farmers, indigenous peoples oftentimes. And these people do not have the ability to be able to enact these kinds of policies from sustainable certification. They do not have the area required. They do not have all these different questions that are required.
Time is up.
What makes you so sure that these will not lead to more illegal loggings?
Time is up. Thank you. Third rebuttal from government.
Yes.
Shamira, 1 minute.
Testing. Okay, I would like to report on that point. When we have these policies, when we discuss on a certain policies, we also enhance the law enforcement. And one of the reasons why we want to make it as mandatory is to combat illegal logging itself. So by adhering to the certifications and also sustainability guidelines, sustainable procurement helps to minimize illegal logging, a major cause of deforestation and forest degradation. It increases transparency and traceability in the supply chain, making it harder for illegal log timber to enter the market. And also, the example that we would like to put over here is that we have the EU timber regulation. Yeah, we have the EU timber regulation as an example for you to have this policy on place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from opposition, Tinesh Analaki Ravindran, 1 minute.
Okay, do you know that to obtain certification for timber policies for organizations like FSC or PEFSC typically involve costs? This can include fee for certification process itself, annual audits, and compliance assessment. The specific costs can vary depending on the organization and the scale of operation. So whenever we require a certification, it requires a cost. It's not cheap and it's not free. So if in that case, we also require that we need a certain amount. Okay, we do understand that you want to go green. If you want to go green, why don't you just promote go green? Why? What is your agenda behind the Go Green public project? If you want to go green, we want to have the environment, we want to have the ingenious people, find some other policies. But why are you touching the timber policy? If you want to have ingenious people, make amendment law for the ingenious people. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, the time is up. Thank you to Afiq Arshad and all debaters. Again, I want to kindly remind all debaters to please maintain a good conduct of ethics whenever we are on stage, and also to utilize your time properly. You are given 1 minute, not more, not less, for your rebuttals. With that being said, we can proceed with our next debater. Now, I will invite the second debater from the government, Sarah Tan Ke Yin, to present her statement for 3 minutes. Please welcome Sarah Tan.
Good morning to the esteemed judges and members of the floor. And today I would like to say I firmly support the motion that the Malaysian government should make sustainable timber policies mandatory for all public projects. Now, sustainable timber projects are pivotal in combating climate change and preserving biodiversity, making them essential for Malaysia's environmental strategy. Now, speaking on combating climate change, sustainable timber projects play a crucial role in mitigating climate change by leveraging the natural ability of trees to absorb carbon dioxide. For instance, the Malaysia Timber Certification Scheme, MTCS, promotes sustainable forestry practices that ensure forests are managed responsibly, allowing trees to thrive and sequester carbon effectively. According to reports, Malaysia has achieved significant increases in certified forest areas. Over 950,000 hectares are now under sustainable management, which contributes to the reduction of greenhouse gases. Furthermore, initiatives like the Dungun Timber Complex (DTC) and Sherwood Forest Concession under KPKKT and Bersama exemplify how large-scale sustainable forestry can lead to long-term carbon storage while supporting local economies. These projects not only help reduce emissions but also provide a framework for other countries to follow in their climate action strategies. Now, moving on to our biodiversity preservation. In addition to climate benefits, responsible timber harvesting practices are vital for maintaining biodiversity. Sustainable management ensures that logging activities do not compromise the ecological integrity of forests. For example, the strict regulations enforced by companies like KPKKT and Bersama help protect various species that inhabit our natural habitats. The implementation of Sustainable Forest Management, SFM, principles with these concessions have been recognized as a model for balancing economic needs with ecological preservation. Moreover, international certifications such as those from the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, ensure that timber sourced from these areas meet high environmental standards. Further promoting biodiversity conservation. By prioritizing sustainable timber sourcing, Malaysia not only safeguards its unique flora and fauna, but also enhances the overall health of its ecosystems, ensuring that they continue to provide vital services for our future generations. In summary, sustainable timber projects in Malaysia are key players in the fight against climate change and biodiversity loss. By responsibly carrying out forestry practices, we can significantly contribute to global environmental efforts while fostering a sustainable economy that benefits both our people and our nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sarata. Now the floor belongs to the opposition for rebuttal. May I see one hand? Yeah, your name, please?
Amar.
Okay, Mr. Amar, 1 minute.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, the stricter the policy, so the more the illegal logging will happen. And this is because the people don't want to go through the long procedure and the long and expensive procedure. So this will affect more disaster and climate changes to happen, such as hold on. Okay, so as I said earlier, that the stricter the policy, the stricter the policy that have been set by the government, the more the illegal logging will happen. Because people don't want to go through the long and and expensive and complicated procedure. So this will affect more of the disaster, that happen by the climate change. So please respond.
10 seconds. You want to finish it? No.
No. That's
okay. All. So, government, first rebuttal, Samira, 1 minute.
Yes, I have rebuttal. I think the opposition do not have any other points other than cost to talk about. And I would like to emphasize right here, PEFC notification fee under the Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme MTCS, notification category B COC certificates, which costs, right, subset up to 5,300,000 ringgit annual fee. Over 5 million and up to 20 million, you have 500 ringgit as your annual fee. Over 20 million and up to 50 million, you have 750 ringgit as your annual fee. Over 50 million up to 100 million, you have 1,000 ringgit as your annual fee. I don't understand how is this expensive for any companies that could invest millions of money in timber industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Second.
Are you guys telling that all companies have the same capability, have the same financial capacity in order to acquire this kind of certificate, this kind of expensive certificate? Because because it costs billions. Because we have types of company in Malaysia. We have the we have the mega company. There's no problem for this kind of company to acquire this kind of certificate. But how about the medium and also the small company that are going to acquire this kind of certificate for them to going sustainable and also to go green? So please respond. Please.
Second rebuttal from government, Manuel Gillian, 1 minute.
To answer the problem of medium and small medium enterprise companies, dear opposition, did you know there's SME National Bank that could loan this company at least 1,000 ringgit to pay for those certificates? It's not that expensive. What did she say? 500 ringgit for the smaller price, the 750 for the middle one, and the most expensive is 1,000. It's not that expensive, dear opposition. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. I want to remind debaters, please utilize your time to the fullest. Third rebuttal from opposition, Abdullah Saud, 1 minute.
Okay, so once again, sure, they may be able to get the capital for it. Where are they going to get the forests for it? The SME can definitely give you money, but can they give you hectares and hectares of land of virgin forests? Of course, they cannot give it. Where do their income sources primarily come from for smaller contractors? It comes from the forest. When you make it mandatory for them to get these certifications, they are no longer going to have a sustainable income. Because at the end of the day, you have to make a choice. Do you want profits or do you want sustainability? In order for you to have sustainability, you would have to cut only a single tree within a hectare every 60 years. That is the only way you can truly be sustainable in order for you to have no ecological impact on the biodiversity that you want to preserve. And if you do not do that, you are not being sustainable. However, these SME do not have hectares and hectares of land in order for them to actually continue their business. They might be able to pay for the certificate, but they will not actually be able to turn up a profit to continue. Please, rebut.
Thank you. Third rebuttal from government, Gotham, 1 minute.
Thank you, moderator. All right, Mr. Abdullah. So I believe that you do not know the nuance between protection forests and also production forests. There is completely categorized, okay? Protection forest is completely protected, okay? We cannot touch it, and those are old and mature trees whereby they absorb less and less carbon. Compared to the ones that are young and mature, they absorb more carbon, which of course is called carbon sequestration. So when it comes to protection forest, the mature forest does not absorb as much as CO2 compared to the growing forest. However, during harvesting, mature trees are selectively, I'm going to emphasize the word on selectively cut based on pre-felling inventory following sustainable forest management practices. So, of course, subject matter experts are going to choose the best trees and also the trees that are already matured. That's what we're going to harvest. And the young trees are going to be let to grow. So we have the next batch to harvest. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the time is up. Thank you, Sarah, and all the debaters. We are getting very fiery here, and we hope we can continue the momentum. Now, I will invite the second debater from the opposition, Abdullah Saud Fatmi, to present your statement for 3 minutes. Please welcome Abdullah.
Okay, assalamu alaikum and good evening to everyone here, including my honorable opponents and all my fellow debaters here. First of all, I think it's very important to understand why necessarily is it that having mandatory certification for timber isn't enough in the context of Malaysia. But even if you want to look at it in the terms of the entirety of the world, it's not necessarily enough for us to be able to have sustainability. Like I mentioned time and time again, you have to make a choice, whether you want to be sustainable or whether you want to be profitable. Unfortunately, we can always have various ways to go around and greenwash things into saying that, yes, these things are sustainable when they clearly are not. Allow me to explain the actual procedure that goes for the majority of sustainability certification. If you want to cut down a tree, you are no longer allowed to cut down saplings and mothering trees. What exactly does this mean? You're not allowed to cut down young trees, and second of all, you are not allowed to cut down trees that primarily spread the seeds of the tree, which makes sense. So what are the types of trees you're allowed to cut? Well, these are the most mature trees. These are really old trees, and these are also the same amount of trees that happen to have the most amount of biodiversity in them. These are trees which have been made homes for several different types of mosses, insects, animals, plants, and various kinds of birds. The most amount of biodiversity exists in these mature trees. By cutting them down, you are not effectively stopping the loss of biodiversity that you truly want to go for. So, if you truly want to have profits, or you truly want to have the other way around, and you want to have sustainability, what are the alternatives that you can possibly go for? Well, the biggest alternative that you can go for is afforestation and having more conservation land. These are not my words. These are the words of a senior lecturer at Dr. Yong Kien Ten. Okay, I forgot his name. Regardless of speaking, these experts say that they have never seen, most experts never specifically talk about sustainable certification when they actually want to talk about enacting their policies. Why is it? Because they are wildly ineffective. With a meta study done in 2016 actually showed that FSC, the most common form of certification, had actually zero impact on deforestation and had no ways to actually alleviate poverty. So you are not only losing the sustainability battle by enacting and making it mandatory for all the people, you are also losing on the profitability aspect that you actually want to go on for. And this does not even take into account the ways that people often try to justify their differing sustainability practices by using certification. Because essentially, deforestation is legal for you as long as you only clear mature forest. Is that really stopping deforestation, or actually building up further forestry areas and regrowing the deforested areas is actually something that will actually help? I really need a very clear response onto how exactly sustainable practices are actually going to work out on your side.
Thank you, Abdullah. Now I open the floor to the government to rebut. Can I see one hand? Daniel, Sarah Tan Kai Sin, 1 minute.
Okay, so we already have like a large bank of forest banking, so the loss wouldn't be as much as you think. And plus, with this sustainable policy, we are, like my team has said, we are controlling the amount of trees we're cutting down. And plus, there are a total of 12 million hectares of production forest, 5 million purely timber. Plus, with the sustainable policy, so loss wouldn't be that significant.
Okay, so to answer your question about having no significant loss, I think it's very important to realize how big of an area 5 million hectares is. That is essentially 8% of all the forest land that exists in Malaysia. By actually reducing it to 50%, actually even having a carbon sink of less than having 50% of our total forestation, you are essentially destroying a huge chunk of our environment. How can we combat this? This were already given in my alternatives. We can have this by having more conservation areas and having higher rates of afforestation to regrow the already destroyed environment that exists in Malaysia. By further allowing people to have free access to destroy as much timberland as they want, as long as they only kill the most useful and biodiverse trees, you are not helping the environment. You are actually further speeding up its destruction, and you are not helping your case. We believe our alternatives are significantly better compared to the mandatory certification policies that you want to end up bringing. We here support sustainability, and we simply believe sustainable policies are not enough. There needs to be something more that needs to be taken into account.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from government. Halim Shah. Mr. Halim Shah, 1 minute.
All right. You literally answered your own question, and I quote, it's only 8%. That's 8% out of what? 8% minus 100 is 92%. 92% is still reserve and control and whatnot. That 8% still has a lot of laws and strict. It takes them time when they can lock the timber and whatnot. So you should answer your own question. We have given you multiple policies and whatnot. We have given you reasons. Side opposition barely brought up any alternatives. They only have shut us down back and forward. They say about costs and whatnot. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from opposition. Tinesh Anlaki Ravindran, 1 minute.
I think there's something that the government failed to understand. In Malaysia, there is two different types of governance. One is the federal governance, another the state government. Okay, Article 74 of the Constitution specify matters in the concurrent list where both federal and state can legislate, and the state list where only state can legislate. State list says that forestry is listed under the state list item 23 of the federal constitution. This means that the state have exclusive authority to manage the forestry resources within their boundaries. So forest directly falls under the state government. no matter how much policies you bring, whether it's mandatory or optional, still the state government has the authority and the power to decline whatever policy that the federal government makes. So the thing that is, maybe we can just promote Go Green. Don't make mandatory Go Green policies. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from government, Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
My dear, dear opposition, I suggest you stick to whatever field that you're doing and not touch on the element of law. Allow me to educate you. When it comes to the federal government and the state authority, yes, the state authority has the right to legislate whatever happens in their state, but they are bound, part, parcel, and must concur with the federal government. And if it's really true that our states are so independent of each other, then why do we have a federal constitution and not a state constitution? We do have state constitution, but we are still regulated by the federal constitution. So much like policy, much like law, much like the penal code of Malaysia, policies made by federal government are bound to the state authority as well. They are given confines. So I suggest strongly, my dear opposition, to acquire a bit more knowledge on that area prior to delivering your speech. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from opposition. Can I have one name? One name, anyone from opposition? Tinesh Anlaki Ravindran, 1 minute.
See, the federal constitution has already implemented many laws to help the forest and also have provided many type of policies and also trying to bring Go Green in many campaigns. They are trying to create awareness, but nothing of this still works. And the government on the side there, they are telling that they want to protect indigenous people. My question is that if you want to protect indigenous people, then you should actually find what is the policy that can help them. What is the point with the timber policy? Instead, you find laws that can help to amend them, to actually help them to support their livelihood, not by just providing timber policy, because you can't say 100% of the indigenous community are actually based on the timber industry. They might be also from other local craftsmanship. So the thing that is, if you want to protect indigenous people and the forest, you must find some other solution, not timber policy, because it's not the solution or neither the answer. Thank you so much.
Thank
Please,
you very
opposition.
much, Dinesh. Okay, we still have some time to spare. So how about if I put one more round rebuttal for government? One more. Any names from government? Shamira, 1 minute.
Okay. I think the opposition need to understand why we are trying to make this policy as mandatory, because we are trying to preach where we want to make the indigenous people as the subject matter of expert. We are supporting their livelihood. We don't mean destruction for indigenous people. Yeah, we are giving them a job opportunity. So I don't understand how are we destructing the community of indigenous people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One more from the opposition. Abdullah Saud, 1 minute.
Okay, so to answer your question, here's the thing. You do not need certification you don't need timber certification to allow and give jobs to the indigenous. You can do it in the current status quo. But why necessarily is it that we don't give it? It is because most of the times, these areas that they live in are just given free rein by our, okay, let's not talk about that. They're given free rein to corporations to actually allow them to log forests and take down as much as they can. If we truly want to help them, we should not cut down their forests and make them conservations in the first place. Is that not correct? That is how we can actually solve the entirety of the problem. And we believe we can do it much better on our side by actually allowing them to help in the efforts to regrow the forest, because they are much better at these things. They have grown and survived in these cultures for thousands, maybe not thousands, for hundreds of years, and are much better at them than we are. Essentially, that is how we can help add more indigenous people and don't cut down the swaths of forest that they have and say that it is sustainable.
Thank you very much. All right, the time is up. Thank you, Abdullah, and all debaters. Things are getting really fiery here. The room is cold, but the stage is very warm. Actually, it's very hot, so we can proceed with our next debater, which is our third debater from the government team, Manuel Jillian Anamasam, to present his statement for 3 minutes. Please welcome Manuel Jillian.
Ladies and gentlemen, a girl once said, "How dare you take away my future?" said Greta Thunberg, a known youth environmentalist. on our government side, we are so clear that we are trying to protect our main stakeholders, which are the people that depends on the nature the most, which is the indigenous people. But these people, they are trying to say, oh, but we're the one that is protecting them more. By what? By they said already, replanting the trees. They're talking about forest management. They should join our side because the forest management timber procurement policy is on our side. Now, I would like to go forward by saying that how do we protect the rights of the indigenous people? Well, first of all, we can attract foreign investors and the interests of foreign NGOs by protecting these indigenous people. Because foreign investors and NGO are more inclined to invest in sustainable public projects that protect these minorities in Malaysia and is more likely to boycott unsustainable project practices that does not protect these people. By adapting a mandatory sustainable timber procurement policy for all public projects, which has worked in the EU, based on the EUDR, which is the EU Deforestation Regulation and the EU Timber Policy, the risk of Malaysian government receiving backlash that could result in boycotts from foreign NGOs because we are not protecting our indigenous people enough, they said, are reduced. This can be seen by an article by Borneo Project, which is very recent, in August 27, 2024, where there are already growing tensions over logging, spark protests within indigenous people, and petition for this kind of policy to be made. So we already have stakeholders to be protected, and we are protecting them, and foreign investors are more likely to give us to give us direct funds and investment to give us profits. So the net profits are on our side on that part. By adopting said policy, it will also attract foreign investors, as I said, due to push of SDG and push for greener businesses through Green Building Index and also Environmental Social Governance Index to invest in our public projects, and they will be more willing to take our government contracts. This is because sustainable practices are not only more ethical, which is a known fact, by the way, but are also great publicity both for the foreign investors, the NGOs, and also for our own country. Let me name you this. There are indexes for companies that invest a lot in sustainable projects and green projects, which they call Environmental Social Governance Index, in which a lot of EU companies, such as Alliance Global Investors, are investing in this kind of projects. So the questions of profits are out of the question. Thank you very much. These will attract foreign investors, and the interests of foreign NGOs are important in developing our country through the rights of our minorities. Direct investment will increase infrastructure funds for these minorities and for all of us, making the process of development sustainable and also great to pave the way for greener developments in our country. With that, I will stay support with the policy making for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Manuel. Now I open the floor for the opposition for rebuttal. Dinesh and Lucky Ravindran, 1 minute.
Okay, I think you fail to understand that the ingenious people, they actually were trying to save their homes, not just from the timber policy. It was mainly because of rapid urbanization and illegal loggings. Even though if you create a mandatory go green timber policy in public project, it's not going to happen anything because until rapid urbanization and illegal logging exists, there is no solve for this issue. Instead, let me give you an example, because you said that just now, Manuel said that there would be an increase in local investment, in foreign investment. For example, in Indonesia, they saw a decline of 10 to 15% of production in 2020, affecting local economy relying on timber jobs and leading to increase of unemployment in some areas. So the problem is that in our neighboring country, when they tried sustainable timber project, it actually proposed a decline. What about Malaysia then? It will be the same. So that's why we are trying to oppose this decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. First rebuttal from government. Shamira, 1 minute.
I would like to rebut on that point. I think the opposition failed to understand what our policy has to offer. Well, I would like to emphasize the first point will be environmental protection. Sustainable timber procurement ensures that forests are managed responsibly, allowing them to generate and maintain biodiversity. This reduces deforestation rates and mitigates negative effects as soil erosion, loss of wildlife habitat, and disruption of carbon cycle. Certified sustainable timber supplies must adhere to strict environmental standards such as set by Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, ensuring that there's only a limited number of trees harvested at a time. You are talking about cost, let's talk about economic efficiency. By managing the forest sustainability, the timber industry can create a long-term and economic benefits. You are looking into costs that we're investing right now. I'm looking at the cost we are about to get 10 years later, 50 years later. Sustainable procurement supports the timber supply chain over time, preventing overharvesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from opposition, Abdullah Saud, 1 minute.
Despite existing for 20 years, certification for timber has not lowered the rates for deforestation a single bit. These are the words of the VP Vice President of WILD, a global initiative and NGO that is supposed to be for the preservation of forests and wildlife. If we truly want to attract these foreign NGOs, if we truly want to live by the words that Greta Thunberg once said, do not take away our futures, we should not be allowing greenwashing for deforestation through certification and mandatory certification. What should we do instead? I have given my responses several times. But allow me to actually paint you a picture. What does sustainable forestry actually look like? You see those pictures over there on the TVs right now? Imagine 9 in every 10 trees is cut down. That is sustainable because that's how many saplings and mothering trees exist in a ratio of 100 trees. So there's your point.
Okay, thank you very much. Second rebuttal from government. Gotham, 1 minute.
Dear opposition, now, first off, previously you mentioned about certification and why certification is important, and it has not reduced the effects of deforestation. So why is certification important? It shows, it gives the transparency to the public. It somehow advocates and teaches the public, saying that, it informs the public saying that, oh, this timber or this source or these natural resources are harvested in a sustainable manner. If certification is your problem, then tomorrow onwards you don't need food and you don't need to consume food which is halal certified. Right? Why do you need halal certified foods? Why? Why is there non-halal certified food and halal certified food? Because the public needs to know. Because when they consume, you need to know. This is consumerism rights. So, this answers your question. Why certification is important? Because we need to know that our natural resources are harvested in a sustainable manner.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from opposition. Can I see one name? Is it Abdullah or Abdullah Saud? 1 minute.
Okay, so let's tackle the halal certification part. You do realize a good amount of the stuff that you eat at your local makcik is not certified halal either. But you still eat it regardless, right? Because you realize that it's not, I'm saying, okay, because not everyone has the money to actually get halal certification in the first place. Not everyone has the resources to be able to get the lawyers involved to get that certification. The same thing also happens with sustainable forestry. An orang asli does not necessarily have the knowledge to actually apply for the government to get this form of certification. They do not have the bureaucratic knowledge to get this. Even if they have the money to be able to do it, the average person, the average lumberjack that would be in Kelantan or Sarawak would not know how to go to the bureaucracy and actually be able to maintain them. So the entirety about the certification actually does end up saying, what should we do? Should we do something that's actually better? Or should we allow people to sell non-halal food and certify them as halal?
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from government, Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
All right. Again, we want to cross the borders of law. Let's cross the borders of law. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not recall working in the legal industry and requiring to help my clients get certification. Yes, companies need certification, but it is a public domain. It is public access. Do you really think every SME, every business owner, every company owner, every makcik, pakcik ke tepi jalan has to go through a law firm or a lawyer to get certification? Wow, like that I'm rich liao. But no, it's public access. Halal, cleanliness. Go to a kedai mama. There's a little certificate on the wall that says A for cleanliness. That's also a certification. And that's free. Well, not really free, but it's not as expensive as you're making it sound. We're not spending billions. They're not companies losing money for certification. It's merely for us to know, for the consumer to know, for our Consumer Protection Rights Act.
Thank you very much. We still have time. Let's win one more rebuttal. Tinesh and Lucky Ravindran, 1 minute.
Dear opposition, I think you are already messing the timber policy with religion. Okay, first of all, Let me give you some evidence. Brazil's implementation of environmental policy led to reduce or deforestation, led to economic tension. Because when you provide sustainable timber, it actually affects the foreign investment, direct investment, which actually dropped by 20% by 2019 to 2021, partly due to the stricter environmental regulation affecting timber and agriculture export. Secondly, we also see in Canada, one of the developed countries, in the British Columbia, the timber industry of around 30% was declined due to the forest management practice aimed at sustainability and conservation, with many swamp fields closing as a direct result of environmental regulation. So the proper thing is that if you want to make it mandatory, you might scare away our foreign investors. So for that, that's why we are proposing to promote, don't make it mandatory, just promote it. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Fourth rebuttal from government.
Okay, I think I
Shamira,
would
1
like
minute.
to educate the opposition why the foreign investors invest in Malaysia for timber procurement. Let me educate you. First one, sustainable forest practices that we have been debating the entire time. So I would not like to touch benefits from various free trade agreements, FTAs, which enhances the competitiveness of its timber exports by reducing tariff and trade barriers. This makes it an attractive deal and destination for foreign investors, particularly in Asia and Europe. Right? Let's go for the next point, which is government support and also incentive. Our government, Malaysia government, has been giving incentive for the Europe countries investing in Malaysia. The Malaysian government has been proactive in providing investing and incentive to attract FDIs in timber sector, including tax exemption, grants, subsidies, company engaging in sustainable forest management, value-added timber processing. I hope you get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we still have time? Let's see. Maybe we can open just one more round of rebuttal. But I do encourage those who haven't picked up the mic to also pick up the mic. So can I have fifth rebuttal from the opposition bench? Tinesh and Lucky Ravindran, 1 minute.
Okay. I do understand that you feel that you want to go sustainable. Yes, okay, that's no problem with that. But when you say mandatory, that means stricter regulation. Instead of that, why don't we do like about standardized law and we promote Go Green projects? For example, we give special incentive, tax redemptions, or we maybe give them a better price in tender if they can come up with the Go Green solution projects. That's how you should actually approach the investors or the economy or the industry. Not by going say that, you need to do it Go Green. Please do it Go Green. It's mandatory. If not, what happens? No, you're going to scare away the investors. It's not just about foreign investors. What about our local investors? We need to think in every angle. And also government said no mega projects. And also whatever, we must think first, whatever that can cause our economy or bring us inflation should be avoided. And Go Green timber policy might be one of them. So thank you so much, and we should not make Go Green project, public project mandatory. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One more from the government. Manuel, 1 minute.
Dear opposition, please join our side because it seems like you are supporting us. Second of all, when you're talking about investors getting scared, the one that's pushing for this policy are the investors themselves, because the investors are the one that is pushing to increase their green building index and also their environmental social governance index. It's because they want to attract more consumers, more investors from other sides to join them. That's why they're pushing for this green policy. It's them that's pushing it. So, in terms of profits, answer. The investors are interested to invest in us. In terms of policy making, can be done. It's not expensive, done. Is it protecting someone? Is protecting our indigenous community? Done. What other questions do you have? You can send it for letter because I feel like this policy is done, made, printed, and done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, the time is up. Thank you, Manuel, and all debaters. Global warming is hot, but this debate is hotter. Next, I will also invite the last and third debater from Team Opposition, Noor Shazia Qadra, to present your statement for 3 minutes. Please welcome Noor Shazia Qadra.
Good morning to honorable judges, fellow VIP members, fellow VIPs and member of the floors. Now, I am Qadra, from third speaker from opposition side. I'm going to explain why we shouldn't continue with this project. First off, you guys understand that we are a developing country, which means that we are not the best for this, and we don't have enough money to do so. Now, in order to go on with this project, you need to know that a sustainable timber policy requires specific types of infrastructure to ensure the responsible management, harvesting, and transportation of timber while minimizing environmental impact. What are these infrastructure? So we'll need forest management, low-impact harvesting equipment, energy-efficient timber processing facilities, and a lot more, okay? And do you know how much this energy-efficient timber processing costs? This will cost us around like 25 million, first of all. And, and I'm not talking about developing it. We are not talking about upgrading it and the maintenance costs. If we sum all this up, it will be around 50 millions. I hope you still remember that I'm talking about only one infrastructure, okay? And don't forget that we also need to have supply chain traceability to make sure that every supply chain meets sustainability criteria. And this second infrastructure will cost us 2 millions. Don't get me started on the third infrastructure. Because this two infrastructure that I mentioned earlier will already cost us around 53.1 million. And this is estimation cost for 1 year. Okay? We can't just go on to this motion for two infrastructures, can we? How can we when the government can't even afford projects that cost lower than this, okay, which is the urban green projects? Our alternative would be that we could go for monetary transparency for, with timber investment and promote Go Green projects by giving them special incentive. Okay, in conclusion, we strongly oppose to this motion as we are a developing country and this idea are way too advanced for our country. So I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shazia. First rebuttal from government. Anyone? Government? Your name? Halim. Okay, Mr. Halim, 1 minute.
All right, you're saying we are a developing country. Yes, we are a developing country, yes. But because of that, we need to put the groundworks now. Imagine 50 years, we barely have any forest. Then you want to start? You tell me, do you want to think far ahead? Or you just want to care about, for profit? That's what you guys are. That's all about opposition's motives today, for profit. But no, we are looking at 50 years, 30 years for our future generations, So I want my kids to see, my grandkids to see there's forest, they can go and take a walk, But no, this is not what they want. Listen, I'll make this debate simple. Right here, we care about our stakeholders, our indigenous people, and make sure we have a reserve and whatnot, right? We give you our policies, we say this and that. Cost, we really say it's quite cheap, isn't it? 1,000 ringgit. That's lower than the minimum wage that's set. You tell me. And let me just sum this up. It comes to infrastructure, it's not a problem because we're a developing country. This is the groundwork. This is what we need to lay today. This is the groundwork that will grow and help us out. But that's not what they want. They care about profit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First rebuttal from government. Abdul Saud, 1 minute.
Okay. So first of all, to clarify the entirety of the case that we have brought up so far. Nowhere did we specifically said that we are also for profits. What did we say time and time again? We believe sustainability is the right of every single human being, and we believe that our planet needs to have more proper conservation of forests. However, we disagree that using timber certification in Malaysia is actually effective or not. That is the entirety of the debate today. We think that it is a very ineffective policy to use mandatory timber sustainability certification. And when it is used, it can have massive ramifications in the form of greenwashing and rampant deforestation that continues to exist in the developing world and also the developed world, because you can justify clearing away 60% of your trees because they happen to be mature.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from government. Gotham, 1 minute.
Dear opposition, you need to know that every single country in the entire world does not just revolve on sustainability, because we do, as humans, we do need to use natural resources for our own survival. So how do we come up to this, how do we come up with a solution to this problem? So I suggest 3 things, 3 Ps I call it. People, planet, profit. Does it help the people? Yes. Does it help the planet? Yes. Is for profit? Of course, yes. But everything should be regulated and should be controlled. Because would you want to stay in a house? Because shelter is a basic necessity. But without timber, where are you going to stay? In a mud house? Sure, you can go stay. But why aren't you staying there? Are you staying in a mud house? No, you're not. You're not. So we do need wood. We need natural resources, because it will be blatantly cruel for me to say that, oh, I don't need wood, I don't need timber, I don't need these natural resources. No, you're wrong. So which is why we need to stand on this motion whereby we have to adopt this policy. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second rebuttal from opposition. Abdullah Saud, 1 minute.
Okay, so once again, let's try to think of it once more. Are you for profit? Are you for sustainability? I must swap this question back at you. Because for this entire time, we were demonized for supporting profits. And now our speaker comes up and says, yes, we are actually for profit as well. So this is essentially showing the hypocrisy of certification. It says we are sustainable, we support the environment. But what do they actually do? They basically give you a pat in the back and says, you're in the right direction. You're doing it sustainably. Sure, you're still deforesting 60% of our land, but at least you're doing it sustainably. But is that really the right way to try and protect our environment and our people and our indigenous communities? The answer is no. Of course not. What do we say instead? We essentially want to stop deforestation by specific stakeholders. We want to stop deforestation by these big megacorps for timber. However, people that use it for their livelihood, like the Orang Asli and the poor people that do not afford other farms, they should be allowed to do timber without certification. And that's my point.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from government, Daniel Iskandar, 1 minute.
All right, I'm going to go at this one at a time. So let's go with the main speaker. Yes, we're a developing country, and this policy will need an infrastructure. Well, I'm glad you think so. Then let me propose to you that our next public project is to implement this policy. You need an infrastructure? Let's make that the project. Let's make this an entire infrastructure, introduce more jobs, introduce more opportunities, and implement it here and now. You want to go green on a public project? Let's make this the public project to go green on. And you want to worry about mega corporations and the big chunk that they're chopping down. Fine. Allow me to propose to you on the government end of things that we take that down to 40%. Will that make you happier? And then we will personally see to the employment and to the appointment of indigenous people in the right jobs, in the right stakeholders, in the right positions. Will that make you happier? I hope so. Have a nice day, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Third rebuttal from opposition, Tinesh Unlucky Ravindran, 1 minute.
I think the government again failed to understand what we are trying to bring from the opposition. Okay, let me be very clear. Malaysia is not a developed country, it's still developing, and our country our ringgit has faced a down value just this year, and then now it's surviving back. And our government has already told that we are trying to survive and to be in the race of the Asian economy. So, besides that, if you want really to protect the indigenous people, and if you want to go green, why don't you just create more awareness or promote that instead of making it mandatory? Because when you see mandatory, there are many countries that I already give example, face backlashes. That is the reason why we, as the opposition, we are worried. We are not just saying that we don't go green. We are okay to go green. But the problem is that is the mandatory policy in that motion, which actually worry us, where we can face backlashes from investors, not just from foreign investors, local investors too. So our problem is that you can promote go green, but don't make it into mandatory policy. Thank you so much.
Up. Okay, thank you very much. We have one more round. This is the last line of rebuttal. So last line of rebuttal from government. Your name, please? Afiq Danish, 1 minute.
Dear opponent, I just want to say your statement is unacceptable for us because you keep repeat the same statement from we are start and until we end. So I want to talk. I want to say if this policy cannot be implemented, how can we take care of the wealth of the land of Malaysia? Wood is our resources in our country. For your knowledge, there are 264 cases of illegal logging reported in Sarawak for the period 2022 until 2020. For the period 2020 until 2022. This is our right as a Malaysian to take care of it. Because of that, we need to implement this policy without any objection. Thank you from me.
Thank you very much. Last line of rebuttal from opposition. Last line, your name? Shazia Kadra, 1 minute. Shazia Kadra, sorry.
Dear opposition, you keep on asking us to do this and do that. But honestly, do you really think that we can do this? We are in the middle of inflations, okay? Don't you think we should focus on economic growth more? Thank you.
Okay, okay, one more. We still have time. Okay, one more.
Economic growth.
Manuel.
Let me repeat it again. Green Building Index. Environmental Social Governance Index. Those by our side, since we already kept mentioning, those are our economic markers that we plan to elevate. For you to say that, oh, what are the economic benefits? Answered. Already answered. Economic markers, we need to elevate not only our money, because from their side, it's always money, money, money. The world is so funny. But on our side, our economic markers are elevating the minorities, making more sustainable development, ours protecting the rights of all of our citizens, and also protecting the interests of the foreign investors that wanted to have sustainable development. Everyone, the economic markers are there. Why are they failing to acknowledge it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, last actual line from the opposition. Please wrap it up.
See, okay, like this. Instead of we focusing on the paperwork policies, why don't we just focus on the ground realities? Okay, the deforestation is mainly happening because of three matters. One is because of rapid urbanization, illegal logging, and also because of lack of awareness. These are the three matters. Okay, as far as we think that you want to protect the indigenous community, yes, bring laws on that, because not 100% of all the indigenous community are indulged in the timber industry, or neither they are dependent on the timber industry for their livelihood. Okay, number three, as the opposition has said that we are not caring about costs. Do you want Malaysia to go into inflation just because they do mandatory Go Green projects? Where is the face loss in the Go Green projects and end up our country in inflation? Do you want our country to become like Sri Lanka? Do you want every Malaysian citizen to face difficulty just because the government came up with a mandatory Go Green policy? I'll leave it to the judges. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, everyone, time is up. Thank you, Shazia, and all our debaters. Let's give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, I think one conclusion we can make from this debate today is it's a classical debate of which green is more important. Is it the green of the trees or the green of the dollars? And the answer is both are important, actually. On one hand, we have the environment that will always take care of us. On the other hand, we have economic growth that will also be our indicator of our civilization. With that being said, between these four walls here, we can all agree that at the end of the day, this debate has been a very successful one, and we hope this conversation can continue from USM, and perhaps all the Dewan Rakyat, we can see more ideas, more suggestions that can be very sustainable to all of us in the economic indicator and also environmental indicator. With that being said, our debate has ended, and I'm passing the floor back to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our amazing debaters and respectable moderator. You may now return to your seats. From today's session, we were able to watch their constructive discourse and their ability to articulate their viewpoints, which has truly captivated and enlightened us all. Thank you to Mr. Arif Firdaus for striking a balance, maintaining order, and stimulating an engaging discussion for this debate today. I would now like to invite Dr. Farah Shamin, CEO of Malaysian Timber Council, to give a feedback on today's fiery debate. Welcome.
We let the debaters sit down. Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning again. So this is very interesting indeed. I, I, okay, this is what I want to tell you, okay? The idea of whether the certification to go mandatory or not, the idea of whether the certification will go mandatory or not has been toyed with the government for the longest time. Okay. Currently, the certification is voluntary. I think you know that, right? Okay. So whether the certification goes mandatory or not, I think the government probably has been thinking about it for the past 25 years, right? So it is whether the government take the decision to make it mandatory in the future is actually a progression. Because in many countries, which actually was part of my speech, in many countries, certified procurement has been made mandatory for the longest time, okay? I like the idea that certification doesn't hinder or doesn't halt deforestation. That is very true, because certification, the purpose of certification is not to halt deforestation. Yeah. So when you equate that, it's actually you are, equating something that is you cannot equate. It's like ayam and nanas. How can you equate that? Okay. So anyway, I just also want to say that Hasif was also a debater when he was studying. I wasn't really a debater, but I studied law. So I did a lot of moot courts, and I attended a lot of, for my 21 years of public service, I've attended a lot of parliamentary debates and parliament sessions. One thing that I think I would like you to remember in whatever you do in the future is when you quote a data, you must also quote the source. Because I see a lot of you today drop a lot of numbers here and there, but most of you didn't quote the source. The source and the year the data was released. It is very crucial, okay? When you make any, when you want to make a justification, because it makes a hell of a difference, okay? So, I appreciate that. I realize that a lot of you did a lot of background study and research. On my part, I'm inspired to make my company's website even better, because I think there's a lot of more information that we could share so that people like you could access and have a lot more information, and you could share this information. I hope all of you are more inspired to read good sources, fact check, always criticize, analyze the things that you read, even if it's from Malaysia Kini, or even if from my website, right? So I also feel that Malaysia is in good hands. Younger generation like you people continue to fight for what's right for the country. That's very important. So continue to support sustainability, okay? So those are my comments. Is that enough, Ms. MC? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farah, for the valuable feedback, and to Malaysian Timber Certification Council for collaborating with us on this topic today. Moving on, the moment we have all been waiting for. Who's the best debater and who's the most popular debater for today's session? The winner of the Best Debater Award will be receiving 1,000 ringgit cash and a lifetime of Malaysia Kini subscription. And the winner of the most popular debater will receive 500 ringgit cash and a lifetime of Malaysia Kini subscription. With that, I would like to once again invite Dr. Farah Shamim, Muhammad Ashray, CEO of Malaysian Timber Certification Council, accompanied by Mr. Ng Ling Fong and Mr. Muhammad Hasif for the prize giving. Now, the most popular debater award goes to Shamira Nasrin from Team Government. Congratulations. Congratulations once again, Shamira Nasrin from Team Government. And now, the Best Debater Award goes to Manuel Jillian Anak Masam from Team Government. Congratulations. Congratulations once again to our winners, and thank you to our judges and Malaysian Timber Certification Council for the prize giving. You may return to your seats. With that, thank you to all our viewers for staying with us throughout the event. And on behalf of the organizers, I would like to once again graciously thank our collaborative partner, the Malaysian Timber Certification Council, our venue partner, the University of Science Malaysia, our soft skills training partner, Malaysian Institute for Debate and Public Speaking, MIDP, and our co-partners, the Institute for Research and Development of Policy, IRDP, UNITEN and the UNITEN Debate and Oratory Society, University Tunusin on Malaysia, University Technology Malaysia, GRAS Malaysia, and Clot Circularity. Once again, well done, debaters. We're confident that your talents will shine through and captivate us, leaving a lasting impression. With this, it's the end of our 4th episode of the Youth Parliamentary Debathon 2024. With that, I hope to see you all again this afternoon for the 5th session of our Youth Parliamentary Debathon. Kindly gather back in the auditorium after lunch at 1:55 p.m. And lunch will be served at the foyer. Thank you and see you all again later.
Urbanization, development, a thriving economy, but at what cost to our future? Public projects, the backbone of our growth. Shouldn't they also be the driving force behind our environmental protection? Be part of the conversation. Watch as Malaysia's brightest minds decide go green or keep growing.